like, and subscribe, and let's begin. Now, the reason why I said that the United States has reached critical mass with lies and propaganda is because one has to wonder whether the United States can separate lies and propaganda from truth and reality. Now, if you look at a map of Ukraine, you will see that Russia has taken 20 to 25% of Ukraine. And for every 20 Ukrainians that are deleted, only one Russian is being deleted. Now, the United States got out of Ukraine. And why did the United States get out of Ukraine? Because the Ukraine has been losing that war for over a year and a half. They've been losing. And the so-called Abrams tanks, Russia has been blowing those up left and right. They are not suited for the terrain. And another reason why I told you that they couldn't win is because Russia has over 150 million people. Ukraine has about, I think, 9 million. And to win a war, you have to put boots on the ground. You can bomb all you want, like the United States bombed Vietnam. But can you put boots on the ground without those soldiers being deleted? And if you can't put your people on the ground, then of course you don't own the ground. The person who owns the ground is the people who can step foot and walk around on the ground. So, if Russia can defeat NATO and the United States in their so-called proxy war, which is no different from a regular war, would you say that the United States is the #1 superpower, or would you say that Russia is? Because all while this was going on, and the United States and the NATO countries were worried about being depleted of their military arsenal, Russia was selling and supplying weapons to Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, called the Sahel Alliance. So Russia was supplying weapons, tanks, helicopters, drones to African countries, and at the same time, they're fighting Eastern Europe and the United States and winning. And if the United States tells you that they accomplished some kind of achievement in Ukraine, if they believe that, they're delusional. And it's propaganda. But if they think it's true, then we have to talk about forms of insanity or cognitive dissonance. Okay, now let's look at Israel. Israel attacked Iran. And Iran beat the living hell out of them within 7 days. Destroyed them in 7 days and had them begging for a ceasefire. Trump enters the war and he bombs a few nuclear sites of Iran. Then he goes on his campaign about how the United States military, the one that lost to Russia, obliterated, let me say that word again, obliterated the nuclear facilities in Iran. That was a lie. Or was it propaganda? One thing is for sure, it was not truth or reality. Because if you hit a nuclear site, what happens? when you damage a nuclear site? We all know that you have radiation escaping into the atmosphere and the surrounding territories, and people have to do what? They have to evacuate. Have you heard any news about radiation in the atmosphere in Iran, or people having to evacuate? Iran showed a couple holes, but they didn't do any damage to their nuclear facilities, which is, I don't know how deep underground. I don't know how deep underground. But I can tell you this, they have cities underground with 4-lane highways and all kind of missiles in those tunnels. And you can't even, I mean, they're so big, you have to call them bunkers. And they're reinforced with steel. But anyway, going back to what I want to say. Now, there's the United States. Both of these situations, the United States is losing. Losing. Does Trump really feel that he destroyed those nuclear facilities? Never mind the truth and reality? Can he separate lies from propaganda? Now, propaganda is when you know you're telling a lie. That is propaganda, when you know you are telling a lie. But does he realize that he's telling a lie? Does he realize that he's telling a lie? Or does he really think that he destroyed those nuclear sites? Because if he thinks he destroyed those nuclear sites, then he's going to do something foolish. But see, you need truth. Truth builds on truth. You can add to truth, but you can't, if you add to a lie, then you're going to subtract from whatever your objective is. If you know you're lying, then it is propaganda, and you're not going to act on propaganda. You don't act on propaganda. You act when you don't, on a lie, when you think it's the truth. If any of that makes sense. But then it's hard to sensibly explain sense out of nonsense. And the reality of the situation is that, to put finishing touches on this, is that the only thing Donald Trump is doing is upsetting and getting on the nerves of the Iranian people. And he's getting on the nerves of Putin, and he's getting on the nerves of Z in Japan, and he's getting on the nerves of whatever his name is in North Korea. But the difference is, these are men of patience. If you get them upset, they're not going to act emotionally. They're going to be more sensibly ruthless. But I did mention that the United States was imploding. And it's imploding because you have two criminals running each country. Trump's approval rating, I don't know, it may not even be 30%. Netanyahu, there's rumors out that they're trying to assassinate him. I mean, the world hates Israel and its enabler, the United States. The world hates the United States and Israel. and people in the United States and Israel hate their government. That's cause for an implosion from within. And no country has ever survived or won a war when their nation was divided. If you agree, like and subscribe, and I would appreciate it if you left a comment if you disagree. God bless us all. Have a nice day.